Okay. Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, November 9, and this is the weekly dev meeting for Backdrop CMS. What we do usually before we start the meetings is we go around the room and we introduce ourselves. So I'll start with myself and then we can hand it over to other people. So my name is Greg. I'm usually based in Australia most of the year, but now currently joining from Greece, where I'm spending time with my family. Generally interested in anything related to Backdrop in any way that I can help. Yeah, and that's it from me. Luke.
My name is Luke McCormick. I'm a web project manager in San Ramon, California. I go by Sell Ear on the internet. I try to help out with some marketing things, mostly in the Backdrop world. And I will throw it to Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Bagnell. Actually, my title is Web Solutions Architect. What that means, I'm not 100% sure. I work in the federal government space, but I also own my own business, and I'm using Backdrop in that capacity in my own business. And I'm looking to get involved in the core development of Backdrop, and just see what this is all about now that I have some time. And I think Justin's the last one.
Yeah, Justin Kaiser. I'm officially a Drupal web programmer at a nonprofit in Indiana. I use Drupal and Backdrop and WordPress at the job, and I haven't been to one of these dev meetings in a while, so I thought I'd hang out.
Okay, so we don't have the usual people that set up the agenda for us, and I lost the instructions on how to do that. So we're going to sort of like go by whim for this meeting. I have so many issues like usually to discuss in the Drupal, in the Backdrop core issue queue. But before I go, I would like to give the opportunity to everyone else like to bring up any issue that they have been working on lately, or anything that is a problem or a blocker for them. So yeah, Luke, do you have anything specific?
Not at the moment.
All right.
I have a question. If I can just ask a general question, because
sure.
This is the first time I've been in one of these meetings, and I've kind of loosely been hanging out in the Tulip for a while in the Zulip chat. But the question I have is, for being a core contributor, is there a place I need to look aside from GitHub? I mean, is GitHub where all the issues are? Is there a place where those are coordinated that are not necessarily part of the regular stream, or is that stuff all in stream? I'm just trying to figure out where I can best plug in. And I know that's a very how do I get involved 101 type of thing, which you guys have probably answered 100,000 times, but I wanted to take the opportunity of having some time to at least try to optimize that.
Yeah, so first of all, apologies. This is not as structured as ideally would hope. Usually we have an agenda. There's an update with the community. That's how the meeting rolls. Like how many contributed modules have new releases, or how many things have been ported over from Drupal 7, or new projects created entirely. We have some updates on upcoming events. I'm not aware of any local events coming up now. And then we discuss things that so we have a forum, which is forum.backdropcms.org, and what usually happens is someone else, someone from the community creates an issue, a node in that forum, topic I should say, where they invite people to just make a list of anything that they would like to discuss. I'm not aware if that has happened for this meeting. As I said, I'm not as organized as the other regular people that attend those meetings. Apologies for that. And then we go by whatever is more urgent or it has been pending from the previous agenda and any updates. So if Nate was here, he would, for example, update us on the CKEditor 5 progress of things. And then we just simply go around the room and discuss issues. So to answer your question specifically, we have two GitHub repositories for the core queue. The one is the github.com/backdrop/backdrop. And that's where all the code is being kept. So that's the That's where the releases are being cut out from. And then we have a separate repository for the issues, which is /backdrop/backdrop-issues. And that's where the issues. The reason why we have different repositories is back when we set things up, there were certain limitations, or we needed to be less restrictive in the issue queue, as in to allow community members or teams that we have organized to have a little bit more additional permissions to do things like label and triage issues without necessarily having access to manage the actual code. So we sort of like kept those separate. Besides the main organization, the github.com/backdrop organization, which holds those two repositories, there's a github.com/backdrop-ops organization, and that has several repositories. It could be a couple dozen of them. It holds the repositories for our websites, like the main site, the event site, the documentation/API site, and the forum. And it also has some private repositories for the project management committee, security team, and things like that. But yeah, I hope this sums it up. Did I answer your question? Yep. Right. Cool.
Very much so.
Yeah. So what we do is what I personally do is I linger around the Zulip chat. And if people mention that they have trouble, I answer that. Because of time limitations, I have left the forum to all people that prefer that as a means of communication and triaging things. But the difference between the reason why we have the forum is because there's less technical people that don't have GitHub accounts, so they cannot raise issues. And instead of forcing people to raise issues, sort of like we have the forum there. And also the forum might be a good place to discuss and document things like they're having specific support issues with specific sites rather than with generic problems about Backdrop Core, sort of like solutions, sort of like advice for solutions on specific problems. If that evolves to a new feature or a bug that needs to be fixed either in core or contrib, then we take it to GitHub. So if you are interested in improving Backdrop Core, I would say just start browsing the issues in backdrop/backdrop issues in GitHub and going through those.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a process. So we have 3 releases every year on the 15th of January, May, and September. And 2 weeks before that, on the 1st of January, the 1st of May, and the 1st of September, we have a feature freeze. It's not a code freeze, it's a feature freeze. We don't allow any new features to go into the next minor release, but we are allowed to tweak any features that went in and they're sort of like, they were 90% there and we're sort of like maybe want to tweak the UI. There's 3 main categories of issues, and they're denoted with tags in that queue that start by type, and then dash something. And that something is usually a feature request, a bug, or a task. And there's also type documentation and type question as well, but they're not as frequently used. Because documentation goes to the separate site, the API site, the other repo, we usually direct those requests there. And the questions, most people prefer to ask them either in Zulip or in the forum. So with feature requests, they can only go in the next minor release, but bug reports and tasks, especially user experience tasks, improvements, we don't have to wait 4 months until they're released. So if something is deemed to be a task, something that doesn't change, add new functions, adds new functionality that needs tests, and it's sort of like deemed as a new feature rather than just tweaking the user experience, then that can go in with any bug fix release. And so the reason why I'm mentioning that is maybe if you want to have a sense of accomplishing something really fast, maybe you can filter that list by the type task or the type bug, and try to contribute to those issues because they might get in sooner. Now, there's other labels that we use. So there's labels that start with the acronym PR for pull request, and then different things like PR needs work, and we have 2 tags. Before in the Drupal sphere, there was a tag that is RTBC, which is it was reviewed and tested by the community. We have 2 separate tags here. We have one that is pull request needs testing and pull request needs code review. So these have equivalent PR works for me. So if a separate person that is not as technical or they're not confident with the code can simply test, because, sorry, I'll take a step back. Each time that the pull request is created, we have automated PR sandboxes created with the changes so that people don't have to set things up on the local. And these are kindly provided to us free of charge by Tagboat, which we thank for. So when someone creates a pull request and links it to that issue, it changes. There's a label that you change it to status has pull request. And if that pull request is ready for review and testing, you add the additional 2 tags, needs testing, needs code review. And then either the same person or separate people can come and do the testing or the code review, and equally remove the tag that says, either remove both tags and set it to PR needs work if something was broken, or they can remove the PR needs testing and change it to PR works for me. And then the RTBC acronym for us, it's not, I think it's ready to be committed, which means that the code has been approved as well. So yeah, that sums up the majority of the workflows. There's other things to get into as well. Before we set a milestone, there's 2 labels in the issue queue that are called milestone candidate minor and milestone candidate bug, I think, for the bug release. There's if I don't have the page in front of me now, but if you Google how to use the issue Backdrop CMS, how to use the core issue queue, there's instructions on how to not abuse those labels, specifically the label for the minor pull request. The minor releases. The reason why we had that in place is because we had a lot of issues accumulated as features. And in order for them to be slated for the next minor release, we had some requirements. There has to be a pull request. It doesn't have to be complete, but it needs to be sort of like near completion. And the issue needs to have an advocate. An advocate can be the person that filed the pull request or someone else, someone that is driving that. And the expectation, but not the requirement for someone to become an advocate for a new feature request, is to either come in one of those meetings and update the progress of the feature request weekly, or if they cannot physically attend these meetings, they can leave a comment or a summary with the update on the actual issue to follow up. So we need a person to basically evangelize that, we need to drive this feature for the next minor release. Yep, that's it. Yeah, I don't have any specific issues. Justin, was there anything that you were working on or interested in the issues that is blocking your progress or you're excited about?
No, I've just been kind of out of the loop for a while that I haven't.
Okay. So I've been working on a few issues, both updating my pull requests and reviewing other people's pull requests. And one problem that has been bugging me, it's a good thing. It's something that we need to tweak and improve. We have for some time now included automated tests for us spelling in our code base so that we don't have typos creeping up in our code base. And the dictionary that is being used is getting larger and larger as more terms are being discovered that are not included there. 2 weeks ago, in one of the dev meetings, we decided that we are going to move the dictionary out of the CSpell dictionary out of the main core repo and move it to another repository, and that has been done. But what we need to do now is we need to, and actually, let me just search. There's 4 or 5 issues in the queue. So if you search for C-spell in the issue queue, I'll try. So yeah, one issue is number 6280, and it's called move the backdrop.dic file to a dedicated repository. And this has been done. So the repository has been created. People have been added to that repository, and we can manage it. Now there's a pull request, I think there. Oh, I didn't file a pull request. I didn't file a pull request for that. So what we needed to do is file a pull request for the C-spell configuration in our GitHub action, to instead of point it to the local in the context of the code base, in the local instance of that file, to point to that remote dictionary. So we are using 2 dictionaries. We are using the Drupal dictionary, so we don't repeat things that have been deemed to be proper words in Drupal land, and so we have quite a few of them in our code base, and we are pulling that already remotely. We don't have like a local instance of it in the code base. So basically, with that issue 6280, I'm asking to also pull remotely the backdrop specific dictionary file. And the reason why I'm asking that to happen is that if we need to add new words that come up in pull requests, we need to wait for a core committer to actually approve and merge those changes each time that we need to add new typos and fix things. By decoupling that from the main repository, we can move faster by adding or removing or managing the words in this dictionary. Then there was another issue, 6262, which has a pull request, and it needs code review and testing. And C-spell has this feature of forbidden words, and we had a couple of issues where we've merged changes to remove the words master, slave, whitelist, and blacklist from our code base. And what I suggest in that issue is to use the forbidden words feature to forbid those words from ever creeping back to our code base again. Then there's issue 6276, which basically updates the GitHub action from version 2 to version 4. And then there's issue 6255, which simply adds more words to the dictionary. These are, as I was going through my pull requests and other people's pull requests, I was seeing specific words being flagged. So I filed a pull request that either, where possible, I'm trying to avoid adding more words to the dictionary, and instead I'm trying to fix the code. In other words, if there's a variable that was named that was not a proper word, instead of adding that word in the dictionary and keep adding words, maybe we can fix the name of that variable if the scope is limited. So that's what I've been trying to do. In order to move these for example, that since you have started hovering around the community more frequently, Michael, and I don't want to put you in the spot, but it's a good idea if you can spare some time to just review the code there. And you can move that from needs code review to either works for me or RTBC. And don't be afraid to set any issue to RTBC, because that's our core committers have a funnel go through anyways. Yes, unless anyone else has any specific issues that they want to discuss, we can start going by what I have a view of filtering my issues by the most recently commented. So we can start going through those and I can provide an update unless people have things that they are interested in.
This is kind of minor, but I was just looking at 6255, the word added to C-spell, and
yep.
it looks like it wants to add a misspelling of the word literally to
like, is it?
Yeah, that's not how you spell literally.
Just bear with me. What was the issue?
6255. It's the very last thing. Like I just looked over the list of sort of variable names.
Yeah.
And most of them are just like made up words, but like literally it's just that's not how you spell it.
Yeah, this is one of the cases. Thanks for pointing it out. This is one of the cases. Did you actually look at the pull request?
No.
No. So if you look at the pull request, I might be so the issue summary points out where cspell is tripping, and cspell is tripping on that word. So in my pull request, I either change the dictionary to add that word, or I fix the word if it's
Okay.
misspelled. So it's not.
That's probably what you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I think that I know that it was spelled as literary, something like it was repeating yeah.
It took me a little while to like look at it back and forth to see. Like I'm like that's not right. But trying to.
Let me see.
It has an extra syllable in there.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Syllable.
Literally.
Sorry, my computer is running slow.
I mean, that's one of those words where I use as a test to see if the spell checker is working. Because if it doesn't highlight, I'm like, oh, spell checker must be broken because I always, it's one of those ones that I always get wrong. Like
I didn't. I don't seem to have added anything that fixes it either in the dictionary or the. Yeah, so the pull request may need to be updated. Anyway, so depending on what order our core committees decide to merge these pull requests with, like if they actually merge the pull request that moves the dictionary to the other repo, I might have to close that issue in that pull request and then start tweaking those things in the separate repository. Okay. So one issue that may need a little bit of feedback. There's some discussion that is happening there that is very interesting. Is the issue 5541, which is support for SVG library, SVGs in the image library. Last I remember, and we have Robert joining us. Robert, welcome back. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet in Altadena, California.
We're just this is very unstructured compared to the other dev meetings I was saying because I wasn't prepared. So we're not going by any agenda, and I was asking people if they're to mention any issues that they're either blocked by or interested to get moving on. So I'm gonna ask the same question to you. Do you have a favorite? I know which one you're gonna say now. The more or less thing. Oh, you're muted.
Isn't 5090 back in your court now, or is it?
Yeah, I think it is. So the last time, what Jen suggested in the last meeting was that we have a theme suggestion specifically for that. Like I can't remember. I haven't touched that one. Just bear with me. Is it 5090? It is, right?
Yeah, 5090 is the details thing.
Yeah. And I keep coming across more such things, toggles like they're in the installer and the update PHP when they present the status. So yeah, it keeps coming back. Yeah, let me just look at the summary and I'll tell you where we're at with that. I had some feedback from Jen. Okay, so we had because this issue is quite long. It's been 2 years now or something. At some point, we requested to add a polyfill to account for Internet Explorer, and now Jen, who was the person that asked for that to be added, asked for it to be removed. So I removed that. I removed the C-spell dictionary additions because I wanted the pull request to be green, but we moved that to separate issues, and we were discussing those things before. The other thing was the main thing was that instead of having the logic of whether we would turn the details element to a more or less toggle was based on whether people were specifying both the more and the less label for it. And I didn't actually like that, but I never, maybe you didn't like it either. Yeah.
No, I saw in the latest, you changed it to a pound toggle property, which I think is great.
Yes, so that has been done. And my last update is setting backlist to needs work to get the rest of the feedback implemented. But yeah, the pull request may not be in officially in needs testing or code review. However, I wouldn't wait for me to do, like, I will work on it as feedback comes in, but feel free to go and test it and provide feedback either from the screenshots or by testing the pull request sandbox. So if you have opinions, ideas, how to improve this, yeah. Oh, the other comment that Jen made was about the styling. So she suggested that, because we had feedback, so the main problem that I was trying to fix is that in certain cases the details summary was a link, and that was presented other than the bug that if it was plain text it was presented with the colors as a link. There's cases where it's actually a link, and if you have a link and then it's followed by the word more, you don't know where the summary text finishes and when the toggle begins. So that's when we decided to basically style it as a button.
Yeah. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, and all I've done was just add a gray rounded border around it. But Jen said that we should be using the same classes to style it exactly as other similar buttons that we have. So that's one thing that I haven't done. It's pending on me, but should be straightforward to do. What else is pending? I can't recall what else is pending. But in general, it's in good shape, and there's feedback that people like it. So I'm very confident that we should get it in the next. I'm not sure if it's slated. Yeah, it's slated for the next minor. So we'll have that in for January.
Fingers crossed.
Oh yes, by the way, for everyone watching that video, and please comment on the Zulip, the community chat. The Acquia, which is the company that employs me, very gracefully provides for all employees 2 days per year to dedicate it to any nonprofit that we would like. And I'm not sure if it's per year since the day you were hired or per calendar year, but if it is per calendar year, I don't want to let these 2 days go to waste. And my favorite nonprofit is, of course, Backdrop. So if anyone was thinking to do a sprint to get these things going, or if there's a public holiday that people were thinking like to sprint over a weekend or during the week, please let me know. I plan to actually dedicate 2 days before the end of this year, at least, for Backdrop things. All right.
So since you asked for requests, I've got a bunch of PRs, most of them really simple, but I'll just pick one. It's really simple, 2 lines, just needs code review and testing, and it'd be nice to cross it off, which is 6040.
Is it the pull request number or the issue?
That's the issue, sorry.
Okay, so 6040. All right, cool. There's no assignee. Just let me assign the issue to you. Okay, cool. And since this is a bug, I'm gonna set the milestone as well. Okay, unless Michael beats me to it, I'll have a look, yes, and get that.
I'm looking at the pull request, and the only thing I'm looking at initially is that the checks it's not passing testing. So I need to look into that to understand that a little bit more. But
Okay, yeah. So this is a good thing to mention now. So our tests there's a series of tests, and there's the thing that is failing now is the creation of the tugboat sandbox. So maybe Robert, if you can close and reopen the pull
Yeah.
request. Yeah. So that's a good. Thanks for asking that, Michael. So how this works is we have a series of tests, and notably we have a PHPCS test. That one has been passing. A CSPEL test with checks for spelling. Sorry, I should mention the PHPCS code checks for coding standards. CSPEL checks for any spelling and typos. And then we have a series of 9 tests, which are the functional tests. And basically, it's one test, but for the sake of concurrency and making these faster, basically we're testing 3 versions of PHP. I see, Robert, that maybe you will need to rebase the pull request because the tugboat thing is failing again.
Okay, it's like 2 lines of code. That's but sure.
Yeah, but some people may need to test it still. But yeah,
It has no conflicts. So, but sure.
yeah.
If it,
Yeah, so Nate has changed it so that if sorry, and I'll come back to that, Michael. If there's no conflict, there is a button that says update the branch. I don't know why it's not showing in your case.
oh, yeah. Does that update the branch, do the rebase?
Yes,
Okay, well, let's do
but
that.
I'm not sure why it's not there. It would have been very convenient. Or maybe I don't see it because you're the owner of the pull request, and maybe you have the button. Yes, it happened. Okay, cool. Let's see if tugboat. All right. So Michael, back to the explanation. So we are testing against 3 major PHP versions: 5.6, 7.4, and 8.2 currently. So we are taking for the latest minor release of its major release that we support: 5, 7, and 8. Does that make sense? And then we have a matrix, and we split its version into 3 chunks so that it happens faster. That's what it is.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
so
I see that you've got the different versions of PHP with MariaDB in there. The one version of MariaDB.
yeah,
And tugboat rebuilt now.
yes, perfect. So now you will see the coding standards complain now though. Let's see what they complain. It might be a silly thing that refers to other files.
It's CSPEL.
CSPEL. Okay. Yeah. So this is the annoying bit, right? This is why we need to fix the CSPEL so that people don't get tripped by the failing tests here. So if you're looking at the pull request, Michael, you will see that the last comment was by DragonBot, and it created an automated message. It has a link to the PR sandbox with the password, so you can actually go and test. This is what we use tugboat for in the context of pull requests.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, this has been annoying for me because I was telling people in this call, Robert, before you joined, that I have been testing other people's pull requests and rebasing mine, and this has been a great annoyance. So it's unfortunate that we don't have any core committers for this weekly meeting, but I hope that they will watch the recording, and I'm also going to ping them in Zulip. Because we had consensus last time that I brought up 2 weeks ago that I brought up this series of CSPEL issues and pull requests. Nate was in agreement in most of them, and they're pretty simple. However, if I can get people to just go on those issues and actually test, not test, some of them do not require test, just go through the code changes and switch the labels to works for me or ready to be committed, that will make sure that it's in the queue, on the radar for our core committers, because our core committers look through the queue for those labels, right?
So this is now the changes to the CSPEL, to the new CSPEL repo you're talking about?
Oh yes. So I'll repeat what I was telling before you joined. So if you search the issue queue with the keyword CSPEL, you will see there's 4 or 5 issues mostly created by me that start with CSPEL : right?
Mhm.
And I have a pull request that simply adds the words that I was coming across, common words that I was coming across in every pull request that I was testing. We could merge that and it will fix the majority of the complaint of the nagging. And I was explaining that instead of blindly adding words to the dictionary, if there was a typo or a variable that was named oddly and CSPL was tripping on it, and if the scope of that variable was limited within a single function and it had like 2 or 3 or 1 instance, I would change the variable to a word that made sense. And usually that meant like it would be the word perms instead of permissions, or it would be a combined word that is a single word instead of separated by an underscore. So I would fix it that way instead of keep adding words. So yeah, if someone can go through the dictionary changes and mark those as RTBC, we could move things along. Then there's an issue in a respective pull request to update the GitHub action from version 2 to version 4. We get some benefits from that with regards to dictionaries like built into CSPL. There's another one that moves. Basically, that one doesn't have a pull request, but anyone can feel free to beat me to it and file a pull request to point the GitHub action instead of the local dictionary to use the dedicated repository, and the details are in that issue. So that should streamline, and I'm also that's a great opportunity to crowdsource and say anyone that wants to join me in the group of that we decided to call Spelling Bees, the group of people that will be triaging issues and trying to maintain the dictionary. Please apply, ping me, and I will have you join the group and help us out. The idea there is that if someone files a pull request and then CSPL complains, you can quickly, instead of having to wait for core committers, you can ping people in Zulip on our chat and say, hey, my pull request is tripping on that word. We fix that word in the dictionary. And then all you have to do is close and reopen the pull request, and then it will be green. So yeah.
So just to be clear, we currently, there's a bunch of words that CSPL called out for this PR that have nothing to do with this PR because it's old words in the file. But you already have a bunch of word corrections in the CSPL issues that are just waiting to be merged, right?
Yes, and if a core committer merges that and then you rebase your pull request again, then your pull request should pass.
Okay, so that should actually be my first look, is to see if the words being complained about are in a pending issue. PR.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. And if not, maybe file a pull request against mine. If there's one that needs to be added, just as diligence, let's try to keep the words that are being added to the dictionary minimal. So if you're tripping up on a word that can be fixed in code, it's not an actual typo, but it's a sort of like a half-baked word or whatever, and it can be fixed there. Prefer to do that than keep adding words in the dictionary.
Okay.
All right. Yes. What else? Any other issue that you're interested or blocked in, Robert? Before we move on.
Go ahead and move on.
Okay. Let me go back to my issue queue. Please bear with me. My computer is very slow today. So the other one, the most I'm sorting it, but I'm sorting the list by most recently commented, and the other one that I recently updated is 2858. It still needs work. It's just that I've added the needs more feedback. So I've added screenshots. I haven't pushed anything yet. Just if people can look at the latest screenshots and the comments by Laren and they agree, we were trying to go with something for like that's more subtle. Maybe just leave some comments and ideas with regards to wording or how that should be treated. And I realize that the screenshots that I've added there are huge, so I'm just going to reduce them in size just really quickly.
What's that number again, Greg?
The number is 2858.
Oh.
And that is basically to improve the screen that we have in update PHP. We have another issue that is related to this, and it's 2873. And that issue is about a similar thing that happens in the installation screen where we present people with requirements. So what I'm trying, again, this is one of my favorite issues, same as the more or less toggle thing that we were discussing. This consolidates and brings consistency in things that we use that have similar purpose, right? So these are lists of requirements, so to say, for lack of better words, that we present to people, and they have a status. Either they're good to go, or they have warnings, or they're in the status where we require some action. So I said, look, this is a similar pattern as the status report page. So maybe we use the same thing function and just have some consistency. So that's what I've been going with on the last one, that one there. Just bear with me. In the meantime, as I'm typing, if anyone wants to bring up anything, feel free. Okay. So the other issue that we brought up was 5541, which is the support for the SVG library. There's some discussions going on, so maybe some people want to chime in just to help things move along, whether we should break things out into separate issues, just to reduce the scope and get the basics like the MVP going. Yeah, this is a good one. Issue 5973. If anyone is very versed with JavaScript and can help out. So this was lingering there for a while, since June actually. And then Martin asked me to rebase the pull request. I've done that. And because in the meantime, IndigoZilla has merged the changes with we merged the changes with jQuery, so there were deprecated functions. I've made sure to not reintroduce any deprecated functions. So what I have, the pull request is crappy. It's like it even contains like console log instances where I'm trying to debug things, but it's at the state where, at least in the console, when I select the iframes that CKEditor provides or the fields, I see in the console that they're properly selected. So what's left to be done there is, if someone would like to grab it, go ahead, is to just take the code that I have put there, review it, see if the solution is acceptable, and then finish it by providing the code that would actually enter the token in the iframe or the fields. Okay. Else, the next issue in my queue is 2425. Oh, that's a good topic to bring up, actually. So I was annoyed because our configuration saves, like if it's a checkbox and you're supposed to save the value as true or false, so 1 or 0, instead of saving it in configuration as a number, it saves it as text, like in double quotes. There's the checkboxes where you have an on-off value is a pretty obvious thing, and people might say, oh, that's not a problem. But there's other things where actual numeric values like pixels of width or height are saved as text, right? And I have an example from 2016 there, like a screenshot from the views UI, where I actually was allowed to save text instead of numbers. That can be fixed if we fix the actual forms to use HTML number fields instead of text fields. There will be some validation that doesn't allow you to put anything other than numbers. But even then, the numbers get actually saved as text in config, which is annoying. So RGPiano and Kiam Laluno have commented there to say maybe it's not such a bad thing that it's being saved as text instead of numbers. I saw that our backdrop encode JSON function, which is a wrapper around the native PHP JSON encode function with specific flags added to it. If you add a specific flag to it, it saves it as numbers, but that specific flag is overzealous, I've seen. So it might remove the plus sign in front of positive numbers, and it might remove the zero, the leading zero in front of numbers, which is not a bad thing unless you're trying to store phone numbers, right? Or things,
or US postal codes.
or that, yes. So things like that. So what I've done in my code is I'm actually trying to pick up if the string that is trying to be saved starts with a plus sign or with a zero, and I'm not touching it. So I'm skipping those. So I'm trying to sort of like best efforts, because these are the things that are problematic as it is now, right? So we won't fix everything, but maybe we'll fix 90% of the cases. The other thing is that I added that into the that logic into backdrop JSON encode, which is like it has a very broad scope across everything, and it will touch contrib in ways that I cannot imagine. Maybe I should move that into the config storage class or method. What do you call it? The encode method, and have it specifically action the encoding of the JSON output before it gets saved into the config files. It's sort of like limiting in scope, just acting only on configuration save. But yeah, before I move on further, I'm looking for thoughts, ideas, input, if other people are annoyed or if it's just me. I can't remember what was the what triggered this back in 2016, but recently there was logic that was trying to compare whether that was a string or something else. I was trying to do a comparison and it was throwing me off, and it was so obvious that if it was actually saved as a number, things would be much easier. It wouldn't need to change the code. It would work as expected. But yeah, anyways, maybe my OCDs are kicking in and they shouldn't. Then there's I'm not sure if anyone has haven't been following this issue. 6282 comments on a view's full content display appear above the content. This was updated 5 days ago. I haven't so that this is marked as works for me. So someone has tested it. We just need a code review for that. I haven't been keeping tabs on that issue at all.
That's a one-line change.
Okay. Oh, that's another interesting one. Issue 6283. This is a follow-up on another issue 6244 that was closed, and there was a pull request merged. So what used to happen there is so we have two permissions that are dependent on each other, and these permissions are is the permission to view the administration and use the administration bar, and the other one is to actually view administration pages. And when you select either one of those permissions, there's a pop-up, a JavaScript pop-up that prompts you to select the other one as well. because if you select only one of them, there might be use cases where the person actually the role won't be able to use the admin bar, right? And what we have done with the previous pull request that Martin filed is that we make sure that this pop-up message doesn't come up if unless both of these permissions are visible on the page. And this follow-up is to figure out a way so that if one of these permission is returned in the filtering, when you filter for permissions, then the other one is shown as well. And how our JavaScript works in this page is that there's a class that is being added, which is something like include in search or something like that, the class is called. So we say that, for example, we want the name of the module that provides the permission, or the name of the permission, or the description. We want all of these to be included in the filtering as you type at the top of the page. So maybe we can come up with a trick, like maybe add the description of one of the and the name of one of the permissions in the other as a data attribute, and then we check that in the filtering. So maybe as a trick, we can have it so that when one of these permission is shown, then the other one is shown as well, and then there's no problem. Yeah, I would love thoughts on that. The other one is, and I think we only have 3 minutes. I would like to bring up 6264, which is by Laren, one of our core committers, and that is to make the mobile menu toggle text configurable. So it's currently hard-coded as menu, and there's use cases where you may have multiple menus on a page or on your site in general, and you might want to distinguish between those, and you may want to even completely remove the label, right? And you are able to do that in code, is my understanding, but it would be nice if you could do it from the UI. So this is what the pull request is trying to do.
I like that one. I see Laren left some comments for you, Greg, back in the PR. Did you address those?
No, I didn't. So I don't think that the pull request is for me though, because I think that Laren provided the pull request.
Yeah, Laren provided the pull request. His last comment was that he had a question back to you because I think you had commented on the PR.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. No, I'm reluctant to actually click on the link now because it's marked as unread in my issues, and I want to keep track of that. If I click there, it's like I don't want to lose track. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll go through those. And another issue that oh no, that one just needs it. I was looking at 6122, which is the allow themes to have config folders. That has been merged and it's in 126, but we need a change record for it. So if anyone wants to take a stab at that. Yeah, look, we don't have a lot of time. I hope that people enjoyed this sort of like what do you call it? Not riffing. Improvisation of a dev meeting.
Whirlwind review.
Yeah. Look, there's heaps of other issues in the queue. I hope that the labels that we use make it easier for people to find those that need some work, and you can help out by contributing. As I said, if you have spare time and you plan to do a sprint either during the weekdays or the weekends, just drop a message in our Zulip channel. Let me know because I'll have some capacity and I would like to get some issues moving. Right.
All right.
And with that, let's maybe wrap things up and call it a meeting. Thanks everyone for joining and those watching, and we'll catch you either next week on those meetings or in the issue queues and the chat.
Thank you.
Bye.
Where's the stop recording button?